5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
OffTheRopes.com. What's your legacy?
Hi, and thanks for joining me for the Off the Ropes podcast. I'm Victoria, and I'll be presenting a weekly show bringing you some of the world's most inspiring individuals, but not just those who have achieved enormous success, specifically those who have endured hardship and adversity and overcame their challenges. Plus, I'll be speaking with experts in the field of nutrition, health, fitness, and personal development to extract their wisdom on how to optimize your performance, fulfill your potential, and learn how to get your life off the ropes. Today, I'm with Herbert Nitsch, champion freediver, holder of 33 world records, pilot, lecturer, and ambassador for the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society. In 2012, while setting a new world record for plunging a staggering 252 metres without the aid of breathing apparatus, a devastating and life-changing error occurred, resulting in brain damage and a prognosis of Herbert being wheelchair-bound. But due to his incredible determination, intuition, and remarkable self-discipline, not only did he walk again, but he returned to freediving. This was a particularly moving and emotional conversation, but inspiring, funny, and uplifting too. Actually, we're a little bit in love with Herbert. Let's meet him. Herbert, your introduction to freediving, that's diving without breathing apparatus, was a fortuitous accident on a scuba diving safari in Egypt. I'm curious to learn more about what happened.
It was, I went there to make a scuba diving trip, safari, and the airline lost all my luggage, including my diving gear.
Right.
So therefore, I was more or less forced to snorkel, and while snorkeling, taking some pictures underwater. And I was distracted by taking the pictures, waiting for the flash to reload the settings, getting the framing and so on. And after a week, a friend was asking me and wondering that he saw me on snorkeling all the time when he was scuba diving. Yeah. He was wondering how deep and how long I can dive. And I said, well, I don't know, because for me it was just, taking pictures.
Yeah. So you were actually holding your breath, but you were so focused you didn't even realize.
Yeah, I didn't realize it because I was distracted and focused on taking pictures.
Brilliant.
And by that, accidentally, without knowing back then, I did very good training for it. And also because of that, throughout the week, I was going longer and deeper without realizing so much. And this friend was asking me, hey, how deep can you go?
Was he daring you to go deeper?
No, he was just curious, and I was like, well, I don't know. And he said he encouraged me, yes, we'll wait down there with a depth gauge and see how far you can go. And I did it, and I went past them with a depth gauge of theirs because I didn't even have one.
Did you give them away?
I was just short of short. I come to that later. I was going to 32 meters. Hooray. But he called me later on. Hey, I heard the Austrian record in freediving is just 2 meters deeper than you did in vacation. I was like, freediving? What is freediving? I had no clue.
And how old were you?
Snorkeling.
How old were you, Herbert? Sorry to interrupt you there.
That was in my mid-20s.
Right.
Mid-late 20s.
Yeah. So inadvertently, you discovered a particular aptitude for being able to hold your breath and to dive to pretty precarious depths.
In the beginning, it wasn't so deep, of course. But that's the challenge, because once you see how far you can push your own limits, far beyond what you think you're capable of. Of course, that is intriguing to find out what actually goes.
So is that what motivated you to keep going further, to test your own, pure curiosity, test your own limits?
to not only test but also push your limits. Because over the time, I learned more and more how to control the body and the interactions within my body to make on one hand, a very efficient training, fine-tune it all the time, to train, less and better at the same time. And then, of course, you're curious to see where it goes. And it was always fascinating.
Indeed. And to date, you've actually have 33 world records under your belt, including your fateful descent to 249 meters in 2012, which I'll move on to later. But how do you physically and mentally prepare to dive further than any other human on Earth?
One thing I accidentally learned, because I was so excited just thinking about some event where I had to announce my depth in competition 2 days before, and I realized I was kind of excited just thinking about it. And excitement is something absolutely negative in freediving, because you need to be dead calm and relaxed in the moment when everybody is watching you, jury, judges, the safety divers, spectators, and so on. And you have to be dead calm, relaxed, like waking up on a Sunday afternoon.
And how do you get into that state?
And then I figured, okay, I go over that just in bed, mentally go over it as detailed as possible. And then I found myself doing the dive or the preparation for it. I was zoning totally out, zooming out, that I was closing my eyes and seeing the whole scene with myself in it, just from a spectator's point of view.
So detaching yourself from the situation.
And this is what I realized is very good and a very good technique. So I did it throughout on purpose, that to go over it mentally before in the greatest detail as possible. And then at the moment, just zooming out, third-person spectator, not being excited because it's not you, it's you watching yourself, maybe.
So a bit like being in a meditative state.
Meditative, you can say, but I never meditated. Never did any yoga.
I thought you must have.
I heard later on this is sort of what the meditation involves too.
Yes.
But I'm not actively wanting to do that.
Fascinating. Well, I had made the presumption for someone to hold his breath for over 9 minutes. He must have been a seasoned meditator and yogi.
No, I don't at all. Many freedivers do, because of controlling the mind and being relaxed. But I never had this approach, because I thought and figured that other things are more important than just the meditative state, which is actually also necessary to get, like to control your mind. But I figured that other things are way more important, and the meditative state is more or less, you have it or not, I thought. And I still think that other things are more important, and I had a more analytical approach to freediving, coming from the background from being a pilot, where you always have in your mind a worst-case scenario, plan A, B, C, and plan everything ahead in the greatest detail.
Of course.
And analyze it from A to Z.
Of course. And that was, you were a commercial airline pilot for quite some time, weren't you? Were you doing that whilst also doing free diving?
Yeah, this is how what got me to my free diving, that I was flying a lot in private to go to different places where where I could practice the free diving.
Nice. I have noticed, so you are either 30,000 feet above ground, several hundred feet below it. Is there something about terra firma that you're not particularly keen on?
Well, no, I am. I do like it. I do spend some time on the earth at sea level. It's just what has flying and diving in common is the three-dimensional movement.
Sure.
Because we are earthbound, and these three dimensions up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
We don't have as normal humans, let's say.
Yeah.
And the three dimension is something that we are sometimes missing a bit. And as free diver, one can live it.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. So I understand how you mentally would prepare for such a thing, but physically, as we've established, you don't. To my surprise, you don't do yoga and you don't meditate. How physically do you prepare for a deep free dive, or did you?
Well, over the year, I do generally sports, endurance sports, and weights, fitness, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and bicycling a lot. Over the year, just in general, to stay fit. And for free dive itself, I do like 1 week of training at home,
Okay.
on the couch,
Okay.
in front of a sitcom, and holding my breath in a series, and always on exhale. Because I figured out over the time, when starting to do it on inhale, that's what you think is, seems logic in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it now. I'm doing it as you're talking. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I did it also on inhale before, and I figured that doing on exhale has several advantages. First of all, it's only when you're really getting into struggle zone. The beginning is no training at all.
Yeah.
And it's just after you push and go to struggle phase, let's say. And this is really training. So when exhaling first, you get quicker there. And also, it is at the same time simulating pressure on the lungs at depth, because at depth, it's the lungs are more in the position like being exhaled.
Okay.
Because it's so compressed.
And how does that physically feel? Because if I did that on my couch, if I just sat there and I'm going to hold my breath, I'm going to use Herbert's techniques. I'm going to try this. How would it physically feel? It hurts, I presume. Does it? Does it hurt your chest?
No, it doesn't hurt at all. It's just
it would probably hurt me.
No, it doesn't hurt. It's just uncomfortable. After some time when the urge to breathe gets bigger and bigger.
Okay.
But this is only in the first few days. And if you really get over it, that after a few days, after 5-6 days, that's gone. At least reduced a lot. So then the urge to breathe isn't so strong. And it is actually quite relaxing not having to breathe.
Wow,
that
really?
Sounds a bit funny.
Yeah, of
yes,
course.
one cannot really comprehend.
No, because we don't encounter that in our everyday lives, do we? So we can't physically relate to that. That's an interesting perspective.
You have to imagine that breathing actually is a big effort. That it involves a lot of muscles to breathe, but we're so used to it that we don't realize it. But once you overcome the reflex to breathe and being relaxed, not to breathe for some time, it's actually even more relaxing not to breathe.
And do you still, even when you're not diving, in your day-to-day, do you often go periods of not breathing? Just because you can.
I'm aware of.
Okay, so you don't watch a film and then don't breathe for 9 minutes. Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
But of course, I do my couch training whenever I plan for some like a diving trip somewhere, not only for competitions, of course, but also for some nice diving.
Yeah.
If I go, where it'll be, like Palau, for example, where there's some nice snorkeling to do, I want to be fit.
Yeah.
And not waiting and getting fit there and wasting my time, but coming there already somewhat fit.
Yes, and
Fit for free diving, I mean.
I see. So in your day to day, do you have a particular set of I don't know, like daily rituals that you actually follow? So do you rise at a certain time, only eat certain foods? What particular techniques do you do to actually keep yourself fit?
I eat very healthy and live kind of very healthy, actually. That,
What sort of things? Is there a particular diet? Regime?
Not really, because saying vegetarian or vegan, I think is very one-sided, because it doesn't involve, vegan doesn't involve being healthy at all.
Okay.
So I'm more or less vegetarian, yes.
Yeah.
But also that involves a lot more to be healthy too.
Yes, of course.
Like eating no white flour, eating no sugar, no meat, of course.
Yeah.
No cow milks and so on.
Yes.
I'm very strict on my diet. Become more and more strict over the time. And I found it very good, and I don't find it a burden like people would think that it's a burden for me. It's more like I'm disgusted by a certain unhealthy food.
Yes.
Like processed food.
Indeed. So you just advocate and live it's a pure way of eating, isn't it? It's natural foods that we should be eating, and you avoid the things that we shouldn't be eating, the processed foods, the unnatural foods. Probably most of the things you find in a supermarket, I imagine, all the packaged foods.
Well, in the supermarket, you do find organic food more and more, which I like. Of course, I also question some.
Yes.
But you're at least more likely to have good organic food.
Yes.
Which is also labeled organic food.
Yes.
You can never be sure, but the chance of when you buy something that is not organic is quite sure that it's not good for you.
Sometimes I think, is it better to buy something that's grown in my town, non-organic, or to buy the organic spinach that's come from, 1,000 miles away? And that confuses me. Which is better?
Yeah, me too. Some things I try to eat locally, but some things I'm also aware of that if they are just locally and not organic, there would be a lot of pesticides on it.
Of course.
And some countries getting organic stuff, I'm still not trusting them because who's controlling them?
Oh, indeed.
And getting organic peanuts from Egypt is kind of a bit of a, to me, a moron, but anyway.
Yeah. Precisely. And our conversation's going off in a completely different direction. Yes. It's an interview about organic foods. But don't worry, if I need to...
Well, it's very important.
It is very important. It is. And actually, everyone we've spoken to so far, they all say that pretty much the same thing in terms of their disciplined individuals physically. And a huge part of that comes from what they're actually ingesting on a daily basis. To be a world-class performer, you can't be eating Big Macs, clearly.
Yeah, for some time you can probably, and, but to stay healthy for quite some time, you have to be aware, because I think athletes are in general aware of the body, because, as a free diver, for example, you cannot be good without knowing everything in your body, what's happening.
Of course.
And therefore, you also don't want to treat it like shit.
Yeah.
And eating the stuff that ordinary people eat, let's say,
yes,
is amazing. I see that all over, that all my friends, I think nobody is close to as strict with food that I know of. But
is it a problem? Is it a problem for your friends? Because I know that we generally steer clear of sugar and gluten and various things like that, and which is our choice. But generally, if we go out with people, everyone seems to have a massive problem with it. Do you encounter that because you're actually going your own way, away from the general direction of everybody else?
Well,
do you come up against criticism?
Yeah, when going out for in the restaurant, for example. Most restaurants now, they have something I would find okay to eat, good to eat. And now and then also like eat a bit different than I would otherwise. So I do find something all the time, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And also the friends that do criticize what I eat is more like they are trying to maybe convince me if that is really has to be done so extreme. Yeah, because they find their eating habits maybe not so good, so
Indeed.
they try to convince me of their bad habits.
Indeed, yeah. It magnifies what they're eating, doesn't it? If you go out with someone and you choose not to have a cake, then they go, "Oh, go on, have a cake, go on," and it's like, and it's not about you; it's entirely about their guilt at what they're eating because they know they shouldn't be. But anyway, we're digressing here from freediving to talking about about food.
It's actually not so much the thing anymore that they are trying to convince me of that. Since I'm so strict with it,
they know to back off.
They feel guilty.
You don't have any friends. It's not a problem anymore because you don't have any friends.
That's it, yeah.
Let's not invite Herbert round for dinner.
Maybe that's why nobody invites me.
Yes, it will be. Absolutely. Going back before our general food conversation, your self-discipline is almost superhuman, and your dedication to keep pushing yourself beyond previous limits, phenomenal. But one particular incident which ultimately changed the direction of your life, happened in Santorini in 2012, where you plunged to a phenomenal depth of 253 meters, which is 830 feet, breaking another world record, incidentally. Can you describe exactly what happened on that day?
I did my normal training for that, and then after that to do the dive, it was I have to go back a little bit. It was because of a sponsor backed out that I had to organize a lot myself, including the local authorities, the media, and so on. So I didn't have enough time for training as I planned. And I had the option to either call the whole thing off or do it anyway. And since also I had quite a substantial amount of money of my own in the event, and also being pushed by media, and also having those friends with me that were supporting me in the team, were on vacation because they just do that's the hobby as well as I did, and so I had the possibility either to cancel or to go anyway, and decided to do it anyway because I thought that the worst that will happen is that I will break my eardrums, which I did before in the past. It hurts like hell, but it goes away without anything.
Okay.
It heals within a few days, actually. Yeah. I had that just before flying again, where I still feel some pressure again, exposed to it. But I was flying a few days after that and had no problem. So I thought, the consequences might be painful, but I'll give it a go. Yeah, and then during the preparation, and when everything went as planned, and we rehearsed before the worst case emergency plan. And then during the dive, I took my breath, did some packing, pressing extra air in my lungs, stopped at 10-50 meters to exhale all my air in the equex, like a Coke bottle. That's a equalization technique, I found. And it's not a secret, but still nobody else is using it.
Yeah, I've seen that online. It's so crude. I'm surprised it's a Coke bottle. It's amazing.
I did it on purpose. I did it low tech.
Yeah.
So everybody can see it, and it's simple, the simplicity. So everybody could do it.
Yeah.
But it has some other issues with it too. For example, that the pressure in your lungs gets even more of a problem to many freedivers. That's why I guess I don't do it. But anyway, I exhale all the air in the bottle because I need it for equalization when taking it back. I take it back sip by sip on the descent.
Right.
Further, after this stop of blowing air, that takes about 30 seconds, because I definitely want to spend sufficient amount of time to really get everything out of it, of my lungs, because I will only find out at the bottom if it was enough.
God, okay.
Yeah, so I take out, descending further, I take out sip by sip, not in the lungs, but just to equalize my sinus and eardrums, extraction tube. Because at a certain depth, the pressure on the lungs is so big from the surrounding that you can't get any air out anymore, and therefore you can equalize. But if I have already the air in the bottle, I can still use that air, even though my lungs are even more compressed. So this way I went down. I went a little bit deeper than originally planned, just to make sure that I passed the target mark.
And what was the target?
The target was 800 feet. And just to be sure of the current, because there was quite some current.
Yeah.
We never know how the slack of the rope would be. And therefore, we decided to hang the rope where the sled is going on a bit deeper, just to make sure I pass the 800 feet.
And the sled is the device that actually weighs you down, is what actually causes the descent, isn't it? It kind of pushes you down.
Yeah, the sled is more or less a contraption, or where I strap myself onto and being pulled down and also being brought back up.
Is that quite fast?
So, yeah, that is super fast. I was asking different experts to make a sled faster than my previous one, because my previous one was also a very new concept and of being fast and safe. Right. But still, I wanted to go faster and safer.
What's the importance of going fast? What difference does that make?
It's not what most people think that it's just the time of threshold. It is the time under 100 meter, mainly, that you want to reduce as much as possible because of DCS, decompression sickness. Because at great depth, gases are building up, mainly nitrogen.
Nitrogen, yeah.
And you want to avoid it because this causes decompression sickness. Whereas many people, doctors, hyperbaric doctors included, think that it's not the case with freediving, but I know so many, and I've experienced myself that it is the case.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I went as planned to the bottom, and then automatically the scuba bottles fill the lift container of the sled. So it goes automatically. This was a new concept.
Right.
Yeah, by the way, I tried to get some experts' advice on how to construct this sled. And they said, it is impossible to make a sled without propulsion according to the rules that goes that fast. So I had to construct it and design it more or less, give it my best shot on the computer myself. And then another company told me, well, you can build it this way. So I ended up building it with a friend in the garage.
Wow, fabulous, fabulous.
Out of carbon and a very, very good shape. And actually, it turned out much better than all the experts predicted is possible.
Marvellous.
So I actually had to reduce the speed artificially because it was going faster than it could equalize, even though equalizing 2 to 3 times a second is quite fast, I think.
Grief, okay. So you'd gone all the way down, then it starts to come back up, and then something goes wrong next.
Coming back up, and according to the videos I looked on later on, I fell asleep at around 80 meters. Falling asleep is a bit difficult to comprehend as an outsider. How can I fall asleep underwater? Well, it actually wasn't the first time for me. It was the second time already.
Right.
But this time, that time it was being a bit very tired and a bit hungover.
And what was that a symptom of? How do you fall asleep? What causes that?
Well, in this case, it was a mix of being in the first stage, being super relaxed. You have to achieve that.
Yeah. Okay.
As starting the dive, being relaxed, zoning out, and being in a state where you're super relaxed, close to a sleep state.
Oh, I see. Right.
And then the narcosis itself, which is kicking in, the deeper you go, the stronger it is, like in scuba diving.
Yeah.
Its narcosis from depth is similar to being drunk from alcohol.
I see. Okay.
And this can cause also being tired. And this state of being tired and trying to, in the first place, to be in a state of being like half there only, relaxed as possible. And this together caused me to fall asleep.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So were you, well, you wouldn't have known, but were other people at that particular stage concerned?
Well, I didn't have anybody down there, and the sled was going anyway on very fast speed. It was slowing down as planned. It was slowing down to 100 meters already a bit. And at 24 meters, it had a hard stop.
Right.
This is where I planned to make a deco stop on breath hold.
A what, sorry? Deco?
A decompression stop.
Decompression, okay.
So to wait underwater on breath hold still,
right,
before going up, to allow the body to off-gas the additional nitrogen, and to, like scuba divers do, also to get rid of the excessive nitrogen in the body.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went up, falling asleep, strapped to the sled, of course. And at 24 meters, the safety divers saw that I was there, and they unstrapped me and thought I had blacked out because of lack of oxygen, which is the normal case.
Yeah.
Which always was the reason why someone blacked out.
Right.
Even though I woke up immediately and grabbed for the rope on going up, but anyway, they brought me to the surface directly without stopping.
Right. Which proved to be disastrous.
My problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't do the planned decompression stop. I was grabbing, what you can see on the video, I was grabbing for the rope underwater. Yeah. And waking up well before reaching the surface. But once being at the surface, I realized, I really have to take oxygen, pure oxygen, and go down as quickly as possible. The surface team was a bit in, like shock and wondering and what was going on, a bit confused.
Of course.
Because this never happened.
Right, yeah.
That someone came to before coming to the surface. Well, I didn't come to, I just woke up.
Wow.
And I was more alert than everybody around me.
Okay.
And including, I had to ask several times for a scuba diving mask to go back down. It was all planned, all rehearsed. And then the people there were just, what is happening? What is going on? But I can't blame them at all because, this has never happened. We didn't think about that. Yeah, it might have been better, or it would have been better, if they would have just left me down there for a while.
Right.
But of course, you cannot blame them because, that never happened before and you don't know what's going on in the moment.
Not entirely sure of what's going on. So how long, when you actually went back down momentarily, how long were you down there on the pure oxygen?
On pure oxygen, about half an hour.
Wow, okay.
Quite a bit longer than actually planned. I planned to do this anyway for safety reasons.
Yeah.
But not that long. And while hanging there, I felt things were getting worse and worse because decompression sickness is not something that you immediately have. It kicks in delayed. So in my case, it kicked in like 10, 20 minutes after the dive.
Okay. Is that actually quite quick? Does decompression sickness normally happen much, much, much later or not? I thought it can happen, like up to a day later with decompression sickness.
Yes, but this is more of TCS1 only, that the mild state, let's say, it's also a bit different. It affects different tissues in the body, where if you dive deep and quickly, it's TCS2 directly, mainly attacking the nerve system, which in my case happened. So therefore, it kicked in very quickly, 15 minutes after the dive, more or less. Mm-hmm. And I was getting more and more dizzy. Right. I hardly could see properly, double vision, and also felt that half my body was getting numb, more and more numb.
And was that actually whilst you were still under the water, or was this when you'd actually then come up?
No, this was still underwater.
So you're still underwater experiencing all of this? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I figured, because not only of the numbness, but also that I was getting so dizzy that I felt, I might lose control. And losing control underwater is maybe not the best idea, I thought.
Of course.
So I activated the rescue chain and signaled to the safety divers that my brain is not okay, my lungs were. Mm-hmm. Which we didn't really think of. But they signaled that and they activated the rescue chain already. So when I slowly went to the surface anyway, the boat was already ready. They just pulled me in the rescue boat and drove me to the harbor with an ambulance, to plane to the echo chamber in Athens and so on.
Yeah. How long did that take? Because I know, coincidentally, we actually got married in Santorini. So, the year before you actually did this. But
really, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. Pretty smart place, isn't it? But one thing I'm thinking of is just Santorini probably doesn't have the facilities that you need. But did Athens? And how long did it take before you actually started? Was it a decompression chamber you went into?
Yeah. There is no decompression chamber in Santorini.
No.
There is one in Athens and one in Crete. But the one in Athens is a bit more used to diving incidents.
Okay.
Of course, we are talking about scuba diving, not free diving.
Yes, of course.
They were informed before, so they knew. Even though we didn't think that it would happen, they knew before that I was coming. Mm-hmm. Because we advised them before and everything. Yeah, I don't know exactly how long it took for me to go to Athens in the chamber.
Yeah. Do you remember anything of the journey?
Yeah, so it took like 3.5 hours for me after the dive to go in the deco chamber.
That's quite a long time. Is that a problem that it's so long?
Well, they shortened the better, of course.
Yeah.
But the main problem was that they abandoned the first deco chamber ride because my values, they thought they were off. But they were so much off that they were impossible to get. And it was they found out quite only a short bit later that their measurements have been wrong.
Wonderful.
But instead of starting the chamber ride again, they didn't. And this was a major issue.
Yeah.
And this caused, or probably also a worse back outcome than necessary.
Oh, good grief. So it's actually it's a series of things that went wrong on that day, didn't it?
Murphy's Law, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then from Athens, you returned to Austria, didn't you, for longer treatment?
No, not exactly. Well, first I stayed in Athens for 8 days or so, in and out a decompression chamber. And then I went to Murnau, Germany.
All right.
Well, southern Germany, almost Austria.
Yeah, okay.
And already in Athens, but later also confirmed and checked in Murnau that the decompression sickness caused multiple brain strokes. And mainly in the cerebellum.
Right. And the consequences of that, what would that actually entail for you?
The consequences were initially quite severe. That I was comatose for a week in Athens.
A week, good Lord.
And later on, when I came to, I had total loss of memory. Long and short term, that I didn't know anybody's name. I could hardly speak a word. Being half paralyzed and super, super dizzy all the time, non-stop. And also because of dizziness and double vision I had very bad sight, which caused that my balance also was super, super bad I couldn't even sit up without falling to the side.
Good Lord. And what was the prognosis?
That wasn't so good. Yeah. Basically, they figured the best case scenario that I will have half my brain together again and being wheelchair bound for the rest of my life. Which initially, luckily, I wasn't fully aware of.
I see, yeah.
But then it was even more depressing once I was aware of it. Because getting my wits together and getting a lot of that vegetable state to somewhat thinking again. And
then you're aware of your situation, aren't you? And then I suppose
the situation it was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And I figured also that all the doings around with the medicine and the doctors and the therapists, that it was so like out of a drawer. And I felt I have to get out of it and do my own regime in getting healthy. And also I found that taking all the medicine, which they said might help, they might help, but also they have very big side effects. And some side effects were not nice. And also for the body, how can a body that is out of balance get in balance with all the crap medicine you ingest?
Of course, yeah.
So I got more and more also after this very much against taking Western medicine, because all the Western medicine does, my feeling is that it's just treating one symptom,
indeed,
maybe and the side effects, which actually affects on the body, are severe. And trying to get a balance with a medicine, body that is out of balance, therefore it is somewhat sick symptoms. But to treat the symptoms to make an artificial balance again doesn't help the body. It's actually opposite, I find. So allowing the body to heal itself and support it, that's totally ignored. And I think that's the main issue.
So did you discharge yourself?
Yeah, in the beginning, I tried to convince the doctors of not taking certain medicine.
Right.
Of course, a patient has nothing to say.
No. I bet you were really popular.
Yes, I was. I had so many conversations with the head doctor, also telling him not so nice things about doctors and psychiatrists. I figured, okay, I will tell them, I will keep them in mind that I will take all the medicine, and I didn't take any. I just took them and washed them down the sink or threw them out the window in the beginning. Yeah. After I figured that some birds or other animals eating them might not be good.
No.
So I washed them down the sink instead. And all the doctors tried to persuade me to stay there in the rehab center, back then in Weidling again, in Vienna. Mm-hmm. Because after being in Warner for a couple of weeks, I was transferred to Vienna, to a rehab center. And there I dismissed myself against the strict will, against I don't know how many doctors.
Brilliant. What about your family? Were your family supportive of your maverick tendencies?
Actually, not really, but they left the decision up to me. Even though they were not really convinced. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from befriended doctors, I got the feedback, do that, stay there by all means. Mm-hmm. And back then, I was really questioning my motives of leaving the care facility and the treatment. And so because everybody was against me.
But you must
hindsight, I figured this was the best decision ever.
And of course it was, because you've gone on to make, your recovery is probably the complete opposite of what you were told you would be wheelchair bound, and you are actually diving in some capacity again now, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, while diving, I tried this already 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. That I was diving again just for my curiosity to see how I feel in the water. I did some shallow diving before that, but also wanted to make some deep dives again to see how I feel. And it took me only 3 days to reach the same level as before.
Fabulous.
Which is great.
Absolutely.
Above water, in, let's say, normal life. Uh-huh. I still feel some consequences of my accident, that I have some balance issues, talking now and then, and some coordination issues too, like writing. My right hand is still a bit clumsy, and I have lack of control. So I can use it, yes, but writing is not my specialty anymore.
Yeah, talking of writing, I was watching the Red Bull documentary back from the Abyss, and where you're shown post-accident and obviously still in a state of recovery, hosting talks on your experience. One thing that I found really moving, it was really touching, was when you'd done a talk on a cruise ship, and at the end you're approached by a tourist that says, "Can I have your autograph?" And you're unable to. And how hard was it to actually go from, the person that you were to being physically unable just to sign your name?
Well, I figured that many other things are way more important to me than just signing my name. For example, simple things like riding on a bicycle. Like walking, like talking, and writing. I do most of my writing anyway on the laptop, so I don't need to write except for signing my name and now and then filling out some forms, like when I go to her trail or so. But that's about it. So I find other things much more important that are concentrated when it was essential.
Sure, but I mean, but emotionally, I perhaps maybe I should have rephrased that question. Emotionally, because when you had to say no, I'm afraid I can't do it, and the chap was actually quite disappointed. I saw his face at that moment in time when you're actually doing those talks. What sort of place were you in mentally, in terms of mood? Feeling about your future.
Of course, it's disappointing that you're not in that state as before, physically. Yeah. Of course, with not being able to write properly, and also in the beginning not to be able to speak properly. But at the same time, at the moment, you're also happy that it's getting better. So, on one side, happy about getting better. On the other side, frustrated about how slow it goes.
Yeah, sure.
And or they didn't go as far probably as you were hoping to.
Did you always have a belief that A, you would make a better recovery than was anticipated for you, and B, you would return to deep freediving?
Initially, I was like the prognosis was a vegetable. So also was seriously fucked up in the brain. And once realizing that I was so fucked up, initially that was very, very disappointing. And I was about to stop it right then.
In terms of ending your life?
Yeah.
And may I ask why you didn't?
One reason was because the hospital I was in was only in the second floor, and I considered to jump.
Good, okay.
And it's still hard for me to talk about that.
Of course, Herbert, and understandably this is incredibly difficult for you. Are you okay? I'm fine with the way I am. Of course, it can always be better. And also being an athlete, it can always be better. Yes, of course. And you sound like a very impatient person as well in terms of wanting things to, you want results quickly, and the very thought of having to wait for things to improve, it may not suit your personality. Did you know, Herbert, that you're an Aries?
Yes, I knew that.
Yes, I am. Naturally impatient, you see. Restless, impatient, and also pioneering. And if someone says, well, you're going to have to stay in hospital, then they're the sort of people who say, no, bugger off, I'm going. That's part of your star sign. But as to whether you believe that or not, but it is true. Okay, changing the subject entirely. You've spent decades in the water, obviously, and have seen firsthand the environmental devastation caused by man. Is that what motivated you to team up with the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society?
Yes, that's a big part of it, or the main part actually. That going freediving and seeing very remote places that human treat the underwater world like a garbage dump. And if somebody doesn't do something about it, the whole thing is going to collapse, and this will have an impact on everyone. Many people think, well, I don't care, I don't give a shit because I'm not diving anyway, so I don't care about the ocean.
Yeah,
well, a lot of food comes from the ocean, and also most of our oxygen comes from the ocean, so it does affect everybody. And Sea Shepherd is an organization who actually does something actively against it. So they try to enforce the laws and dedicated to protect the oceans and the marine life in it. Therefore, I find it very good to support them and to cause also awareness and actively do something and not just only talk about it like other organizations do, I find. Because what good is a law about, for example, not overfishing if nobody gives a shit about it? Yeah, if nobody cares, what good is a law? And Sea Shepherd does enforce them and control them, and it's over and over again. They are like a bit like respected as sea pirates, eco pirates. But is it piracy to just say you're not allowed to do that?
Where are they actually based?
They constantly change the base. It used to be in the States. But because of legal issues, they moved, and now they have their headquarters in Amsterdam.
So apart from your fantastic endeavours with Sea Shepherd, what else are you working on now?
I just finished my autobiography.
Oh.
Yes, it took a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it includes a bit of my childhood racing, how I got to freediving, and also talks about the accident and afterwards, of course.
Oh, fabulous. And when's that due out?
That will take probably another few months to half a year.
Okay. Do you have a title yet?
Yes, but
Is it a secret?
I don't want to say. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll look out for your secret book. Herbert, I have a few off-the-rope specific questions that we like to ask all guests. Firstly, what's the most important thing you've learned that could help our listeners?
Don't believe what you are made believe. Because in general, always hear the information we get from media is filtered and just one-sided. And the so-called experts are not always super experts.
Yes.
And what I've learned, if it is about doctors or some experts of different things, that there are ways usually to find your own and better way even, if you just are determined to find out. So many people just take the experts' words for granted.
Yes, from others.
Which is definitely not the case.
What unending quest drives you on?
Well, I was planning, constructing on the computer mainly, an eco-boat.
Yes, I've heard about your eco-boat.
Mainly powered by solar or wind, but not regular sails.
Okay.
Mainly solar, of course. But recently somebody else made that, more or less. And I bought it up, and I will be on a solar boat, very soon.
Really? Are you going to live on it?
I plan to live on it for the winter season.
Oh, wow. And whereabouts will it be? Will it move? I presume it will move around, won't it, obviously?
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of it.
A stationary boat.
Houseboat.
So where will you be going?
Well, initially it will be in Greece. Then we'll go to France, and France we then go to the Canaries, Cape Verde, and then hopefully cross the Atlantic. And that's going to be the first
Fabulous.
solo boat, except the experimental one before, but it was strictly experimental. The first off-the-shelf, let's say, solar boat going across the Atlantic.
Amazing.
Just purely on solar power.
Fabulous. That'll be another world record there then somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, they're disappointed to hear they're not actually stopping off in England, Herbert. Why is this? Why are you not bringing your nice boat to our wonderful, beautiful coast? It's very nice.
Really? Really? No, I've been in England a few times, and not diving. Well, actually, I was in a quarry there.
Yeah.
Close to London. I don't recall exactly where.
Okay.
But I do enjoy hot climate.
Yeah, can't help you.
And nice water.
No, that's a shame. Oh, no, I can understand why you might not stop by. However, Cornwall, have you ever been to Cornwall?
No.
No,
I've been there.
Absolutely stunningly beautiful. Seriously.
Yeah, it gives me a chill when I think about it.
It's not that cold.
Yeah, well, for English standard, maybe not.
Yeah. Hang on, you live in Austria.
I live in Austria,
tropical.
Yes, but in my apartment, it's never below 27 degrees.
Wonderful.
And so it's nice and warm inside. I only go outside for a short time when it's cold.
Do you?
For a short time. With all the clothes I have. But I actually look forward and do a lot of trips to the south, very far away sometimes, where it's nice and warm. It's always summer somewhere.
Yeah, like a migratory bird. What overall philosophy underpins your life?
Find your own way, because I think this is the thing that causes someone to be good in one thing, not to listen to others. Yes, listen, yes, but only learn from them and not like follow them strictly.
Yeah.
Like in freediving, I learned different techniques just by listening to many people and picking the right thing out for me and doing my own way, but not just following someone because he is considered a very good freediver and everything he does must be good.
Yeah, of course. I think
you have to find your own way.
Yeah, that happens in any discipline, though, doesn't it? You know, whether it's, writing a book or training to be the best jockey or something. It's normally study those that have done it really well and then mirror them exactly. And I think it takes you have to know yourself inside and out to really trust in your own innate judgment. And not enough of us do, understandably, especially if there's other people externally questioning that judgment. Yeah, and not
always believe the experts.
No, definitely. That's one.
Because in freediving, I learned from an absolute beginner. He was looking at me preparing for the equalization. He was looking at me. He said, "That looks really, really stressful. Have you tried this and this?" I was like, "No." This and this exactly. Yeah. And then from trying his thing, I figured out a different way, but just adapted. And this was the best thing for equalization ever.
Brilliant.
So you can learn from anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned my equalization technique from a beginning freediver. And this is, I think, the
Brilliant.
Culprit of many people that they just stubborn and not listen to anybody else or just blindly believe experts.
It's a hard balance that's a hard balance actually, isn't it? Because you can go too far the other way and never take anybody's advice and actually go disastrously wrong, or you can follow everyone's advice and go disastrously wrong because you haven't trusted yourself. That's a very fine balance there to actually get it right. A question I meant to ask you earlier is actually from one of our Twitter followers, Jess, who'd like to know, what do you think about during a free dive?
Well, it's two completely different scenarios. One is, the main thing actually, without going for records, it's just for fun. And 90 to 95% of my diving is just for fun. So it's definitely not my diving is only about records. It's only a small part. And while going for recreational, if it's reefs, wrecks, caves, whatever, marine life, integration, and so on, there you certainly look around to be part of it. Yes, to see all the impressions and less concentrated on yourself. That's more or less a side effect. While when going for a record, it's actually completely opposite. That eyes are not pointing outwards, they are looking inwards.
Yeah.
That most of my time I have my eyes shut or half closed, and I'm mentally inside my body and focusing only on what is essential at the moment and not wasting any thought about anything else, about your daily life, about your daily problems you have, if it's problem with your spouse or problems financially, whatever. At the moment of the dive, there's nothing. So it's just what is important at the moment. On one side, being relaxed, super relaxed, and the other side, concentrating what is important at the moment. For example, before the dive, staying relaxed, then packing. And then during the dive, doing a proper duck dive. And then doing equalization technique, finding the rhythm of overcoming the buoyancy, but at the same time, not to spend too much effort. And then eventually, after 15, 20 meters, there's the so-called free-phase phase starting, where you just falling down faster and faster. And when you just swim without a sled, because most records are without sled.
Yeah.
And then you're just falling down and like gliding down, actually. And in this glide phase, you also have to find the compromise between being super streamlined and between relaxing. Because going super streamlined, super straight, and keeping the muscle tension to keep straight, you go a lot faster, yes, but also it uses a lot more oxygen for the effort to keep it straight. So you have to find the balance.
Wow.
While at the same time concentrating on the equalization technique, which varies on that depth you go. So there's also different phases. Yeah,
wow.
And then at the bottom, taking the still according to the rules, stupid rule I find, to take a bottom tag to more or less prove what they're there. Yeah, I don't know why, because you have depth gauges too and cameras. And then going back up, you have to swim really hard to overcome the negative buoyancy. And yeah, you have to find like a middle way of, not over stressing you, because yes, you have to go up fast, I find, but also your muscles at some point are so lactic, lack of oxygen, that they are dying.
Good Lord. Have you ever thought that maybe you shouldn't have really been born a human? That actually you should have been born a fish or a seal or a sperm whale or something? You're in the wrong body, Herbert, you are.
No, I think that most people are not aware of what the body is capable of doing.
Absolutely.
I think for me it's flabbergasting that so little people do it, because free-diving breath holding, if you compare it with any other sport, you can double, triple your breath hold within 1 week. In what other sport? Imagine running, for example, within 1 week, you can run 100 kilometers per hour.
What would the average person listening, how they think, I quite like the sound of this free diving? What steps would they need to take to become a free diver?
Well, nowadays, many people give courses all over the world, also in England, of course.
Beautiful
there's
coast.
Good places, better places, good teachers, but in the beginning, it's just basically just getting a good start. I didn't do it with any training whatsoever by some teacher, trainer, whatever. This might help initially to make the first few steps a lot quicker, having the progression and success quicker. Yeah, so it's just easy to find these free diving schools. If you want to do it in a quarry in England, people do that too.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
I've done it too, actually. But
there are some beautifully crystal clear waters, actually, off the coast of West Wales and certainly off the coast of Devon and Cornwall. You know, that are, I would say, similar to the seas of the Aegean Sea in Santorini. And you probably won't believe me, but it is true that the sea down in Cornwall in particular is
really?
Yes, sincerely, that the sand is white, and you could be forgiven for thinking you're on the Maldives or somewhere. Seriously, it is. You definitely need to come. You should go and visit.
And one thing, how warm is the water?
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not so warm, so it might not be for you.
I consider warm like 28 or more.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's definitely not. It's more polar than that.
I've been ice diving too, but still, it's not my preferred. Wow. Also, the sea life in warm tropical water is usually
of course
better.
It is. Of course it is. Yeah, fascinating. Thanks, Herbert. Before you go, where can we find out more about you? I
got a homepage, www.herbertnitsch.com.
And how do you spell Nitsch?
Nitsch.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much. Herbert, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. Truly, truly, truly inspiring. I'm slightly in awe of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And sincere thanks for listening today. Before you go, a small plea. We want to help as many people as possible discover their potential and overcome any adversity blocking their path. If you feel this episode could inspire someone else, please share it via the social media icons below. And if you're able to leave a review for the Off the Ropes podcast on iTunes, it will help us enormously to coax others to get off the ropes. And finally, if you'd like to receive weekly inspiring conversations drop into your inbox every Sunday night, please subscribe to the Off the Ropes podcast via iTunes or via the website. Thanks again. We wish you an inspiring day.